The Golden State Warriors calling Jonathan Kuminga's bluff, effectively daring him to take the qualifying offer, which appears to be where this may indeed be headed. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. We've said it before, but right now, about 70% of you watching this, you're not actually subscribed. Let's fix that. Hit that subscribe button. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, I feel like we're closer now than ever before to Jonathan Kuminga just saying F you to the Warriors and taking the qualifying offer, which would be devastating for Golden State. But it seems to be what the Warriors are kind of daring him to do based on the latest report.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always been this staring contest this entire time where we're like, who's going to blink first? Are they going to give him the money who wants, or are they going to keep all these, team restrictions on there, team options, etc.? Are they going to do that or not? And the latest report is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at this. So this is from NBC in the Bay Area. Mentioning that right now the qualifying offer $7.9 million remains the most attractive offer for Kuminga at the moment. So essentially that's Jonathan Kuminga putting out there going, hey, look, if you want, I've got until October 1st. I'll take the qualifying offer. I'll do it if you guys don't budge. And the Warriors are going, fine, do it. Holding strong to a team option for the second year, while Kuminga and camp have made it clear they want a player option for year two. So the reason why, just to explain for anybody who is new to this story, the reason why this is such a big deal is because the Warriors would like to flip Jonathan Kuminga in a trade. They would like to move him by the trade deadline. They don't want to lose him for nothing. That's what this is all about. This isn't necessarily about them not wanting to lose Jonathan Kuminga. It's them not wanting to lose an asset with no return in free agency, which is what they would probably do if he does pick up that qualifying offer. It's why this threat is so significant for Kuminga to pick up the qualifying offer, because he would be a free agent next summer. He would also have a full no trade clause this entire season. But what the Warriors want is Jonathan Kuminga to sign a 2-year deal with them at $45 million. Hey, that's a lot of money, but $45 million, 2-year deal, but a team option on the second year, and Kuminga to waive the inherent no trade clause that would come with that in order to be able to trade him. Again, they want to move him mid-season. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't want to be put in that situation. He doesn't want the Warriors to have control over his future. And so he is asking for a player option in year two. Instead, the Warriors holding for him. No, it's going to be a team option. Donnie, if they're really stuck here, I don't know if the middle ground is okay, no option on a second year, if we even get there. I think Kuminga wants the ability to be a free agent next summer, and that is going to be important for him. And if there's a team option on this, that's not going to be a doable deal or a workable deal for Jonathan Kuminga. So if the Warriors really are digging their heels in the sand here, Jonathan Kuminga might just take the qualifying offer, and the Warriors could indeed lose him for nothing here.
Yeah, he may have to if that's the situation he's in. And I wouldn't really blame him for it personally. Like we talked about previously last time we talked about this, like, you are kind of putting yourself in a situation where you're losing out on a lot of money and you're hoping to make that back on your next deal. You're also putting a lot of faith in the Warriors organization to put you out there and put you in a position to showcase your talents for your next contract as well. You may spend a couple years, if they don't do that properly this year, you may spend a couple years playing your way back up and generating that value for yourself to sign a longer term deal afterward. But I think there's something to be said about just the circumstance here. Like, they obviously don't want you. They just want to trade you. And so if you're Kuminga, I don't think you can, even if you would get that short-term money, I don't think you could risk it. Like, what if they send you somewhere else where you're not able to really show yourself, and then you're on the back end of that next deal looking for another contract, and you're just kind of screwed at that point. So you may have to do this, and you may have to play hardball.
Yeah, and this would be Jonathan Kuminga betting on himself in this situation. And we'll talk about what that could ultimately look like if he goes down this path right after this. You've probably heard of the Sleeper app at this point, but here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users are enjoying playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but it also offers live stats, including real-time updates and visualization on all stats, a great news feed. I use this all the time. You get lightning-fast updates on your favorite players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about individual plays and performances during the NFL and NBA season. So you can download the #1 sports app today. Experience it for yourself. Sleeper, a great presenting sponsor here for the Basketball Bulletin. You can see I even made some picks on the Sleeper Picks platform here. I went with Dak Prescott to go over half a passing yard. That's kind of a free square. Love those little promos that they do. And then I've got Saquon Barkley, more than 96.5 rushing yards against the Cowboys. Oof, I don't know about that defense. And Kyron Williams, I believe he will get one into the end zone. So I've got more on him there. If you guys want to check it out, you can get a $100 deposit match up to $100 when you use our code Bulletin. Use the link in the description down below. Okay, so October 1st is the deadline for Jonathan Kuminga to pick up that qualifying offer that he is threatening to do. And the Warriors obviously don't want him to do that because if he does, he hits free agency next summer. He would have that no trade clause, and it increases the likelihood that they could lose him for nothing. Now, I've had people ask me, could he pick up the qualifying offer, play on that, have a no trade clause, and then agree to a trade? Yes, yeah, potentially that could happen for the Warriors. The Warriors could say, hey, Jonathan Kuminga, we've got you at 7.9 million. And on February 1st, they could say, hey, you know what? There's a team that wants you. It's a team you really want to go to. Are you willing to waive the no trade clause to go to that team? And Jonathan Kuminga may say, sure. And then perhaps the Warriors do get something back in return after all. But what him picking up the qualifying offer would do would put the Warriors on a path to lose him for nothing in free agency next year. Would not necessarily mean they have to continue down that path, but it would most likely lead to that. I think Jonathan Kuminga believes his future will be better somewhere else, that he'll have a better place that could showcase his talents, and that ultimately, not just as a basketball player, but financially, he'll be in a better situation if he is indeed elsewhere. So the other piece to this, though, is the Warriors have other guys waiting for contracts. Donnie, Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, Seth Curry, maybe Malcolm Brogdon. These guys are all sitting out there waiting, and the Warriors don't know how much they can pay them just yet because they're waiting on Jonathan Kuminga's situation to get figured out. Training camp starts at the end of this month. I mean, this needs to get resolved sooner rather than later, because otherwise, Donnie, the vultures are going to circle. I'm telling you that. Other teams, as we get deeper into September, other teams are going to be checking in, and they're going to be testing the resolve of Al Horford. Hey, Al, the Warriors can't figure life out. You want to come sign with us instead? We've got a pen right here. Right it. We're ready to go. Right it. You don't have to wait for anything. Come sign with us. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. And I think the Warriors know that, and Jonathan Kuminga knows that. There's that added pressure to get this sorted out sooner rather than later.
That would be the absolute worst case scenario, is that
for Golden State,
Golden State, is that this just drags and they wind out losing out on some of these guys. I'd be a little annoyed if I was Al, because you would have had more options earlier in the summer, of course, and maybe even for some of the other guys if something like that happens. But yeah, I'm sure teams have probably already been checking in, like, hey, just to let you know, we're still interested. You know, for him, Melton, probably a couple of these guys, just to let you know, we're still interested if things don't work out. You know, so Golden State, for that reason, I do think this will get resolved sooner than later. I don't think that this could drag much longer. And I say sooner than later. We're a few weeks away from training camp. So within the next 2 weeks, I would assume that it gets, solved. But you brought up earlier, like the middle ground. I don't know exactly what that is, because on both ends of it, like, I don't think you can give Kuminga a player option either on what he's asking for if you're Golden State, because of the fact that you may want to put him somewhere to get a deal done and get a player that you want back, and he's just going to veto that if you
allow him to keep the no trade.
Yeah, if you allow him to do that. So like that's where it's like, I don't think you could do that. So a player option, it's not the worst thing. I misspoke there, but player option is not the worst thing, I think, because it allows him to just hit the market and you have the entire year to get a deal done. So I wouldn't put him in a position where you just do the qualifying to allow him to have that.
I wonder if a player option, but you ask him to, if a compromise would be a player option, but you waive the no trade.
Yeah.
If that might ultimately get it done, because then if you're Jonathan Kuminga, you still have you may not know where you're going to finish the year, but you would still have the opportunity to get out of your contract while guaranteeing yourself that money. I don't know if that would be a go for the Warriors, but if you're Jonathan Kuminga, at least you're getting $45 million worst case scenario. And if you go have a big year, if you get traded midseason, if you don't get traded midseason, you still have the opportunity to get out of the deal. Now, I guess the only question there is, if you're an opposing team, though, Jonathan Kuminga in that scenario is a much less attractive trade target, because you know that if you trade for him and he plays well, he's opting out of that deal and you're going to have to pay him immediately rather than get him for, say, $22-ish, $23 million on the next year on a team option.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that they probably are a couple years late in trying to figure out Jonathan Kuminga things anyway.
Yeah.
They probably should have traded him a couple years ago, if we're being honest, because I think that the overall sentiment around the league might have been a little bit higher. They could have potentially got more for him, and then another team in that position would have been more willing to make a trade happen because they have time to figure out what he is and put him out there, as opposed to jumping into this and immediately needing to trade him. And it was pretty clear, at least at the start of this last season, that he wasn't a huge part of what they were doing anyway. So, and it really hit ahead when Jimmy got in there. But I think that they should have tried, probably in hindsight anyway, 2020 and all, probably tried to trade him earlier, and we wouldn't be in this situation. But I can understand he is somebody that's a bit polarizing because he does have potential. You could see it. He's really good up there. You could see it when he plays. And if you're the Warriors, you just can't let that go. And you probably just wanted to hold on and keep on as long as you could and hope that he would turn into exactly what you needed him to be. So I can understand that too. So that's where hindsight's 2020 and all. But yeah, you absolutely cannot and should not let him get in a position where he just can kind of determine where he goes and just leave at the end of the season, which is why I understand that they want the team option, but maybe you just say no option, because
no option.
I don't understand otherwise. Like, you can't give him the control if you're Golden State. But if you're Kuminga, I understand why you're playing hardball. Either. I understand.
That's the problem. They can't both get what they want.
I understand both sides. Like, if I'm Kuminga, I'm saying, screw you guys. I don't trust you at all. So I get it.
I do think that if the Warriors don't budge, there's no incentive for Kuminga to do anything until the very end of the month.
Yeah,
because he has until October 1st to sign that qualifying offer. If you're going to sign that, you might as well wait until September 30th and just see, do the Warriors blink? If not, cool. I'm taking the qualifying offer, and that's that. So
I think they would blink because they need to get those other guys settled.
They need to get those other guys in. And I think that's what Jonathan Kuminga is banking on. They need to get the other guys in, and they can't lose him for nothing. And if he picks up that qualifying offer, he's got all the control. They could say, hey, we want to trade you to Minnesota. He could say, I hate the cold. No, right? He would have a no trade clause all season. They can't allow that. And then he could walk away next summer, and the Golden State Warriors are left with nothing. It would be like drafting James Wiseman all over again. They would get nothing from Jonathan Kuminga. So that would be the problem for Golden State. So if I'm Jonathan Kuminga, man, I think that he's got the upper hand here to a degree. And all he needs to do right now is wait until October 1st gets closer. And worst case, if the Warriors don't blink, pick up that qualifying offer. But he's got to be willing to do it. He's got to be willing to say no to a guaranteed $45 million to play for 8 and bet on himself. And I think that's what the Warriors are hoping will ultimately win out in Jonathan Kuminga's mind. But I think we're closer now than ever before to seeing Kuminga just take the qualifying offer, especially because the Warriors appear to be dead set on getting that team option and that no trade clause waived. And I just don't see any reason why Jonathan Kuminga should do that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also hard for them to trade him this year anyway because of the base year right?
compensation.
So,
very difficult.
Either way, they still are gonna they want to put him in something as an asset, but they still also need to put stuff with him if they're trying to get back a really big piece, which I would assume they would want to do. But maybe they get a smaller piece that they can kind of just swap one for one with. I don't know ultimately, but either way, you're getting that as opposed to literally nothing. So if you're Golden State, I think you have to figure something out here. And really quick, do you think potentially they would agree to come down on the salary a little bit to just get the option in there? Do you think they would do that?
Maybe. I think it's more about the control than the money, though.
Yeah.
I think it's more about that.
Because I think
for both sides, that's the important part.
For both sides, it swings so much who has the control there. Like that's really crazy. And that's not anything new. That's always the case. It's just really limiting here because he is in a position where you do something or you don't. Either way, he's gone immediately, or maybe you have some options there. So
Yep. The standoff continues. I do think that we could very well see a situation where 3 of these 4 restricted free agents, the big 4, when we talk about Kuminga, Grimes, Giddey, and Cam Thomas, I could see 3 of them take. I think Josh Giddey gets something done with the Bulls. They're too close to not, but I could see 3 of these guys actually picking up the qualifying offer. And that would add, I think, even more drama to next offseason because there would be a lot of question marks about whether those guys would then leave their teams high and dry and say, nope, you weren't willing to commit to me long term. I'm going to walk away into another team's cap space and you're going to get nothing in return. We could very well see that play out.
I think Giddey's most likely. Grimes is just kind of in a weird spot because they're like,
Yeah.
do you really deserve that after like half a season of hot shooting on a depleted team? We don't know. And then with Cam, it's like there's an outsized like ego thing going on.
Cam
there.
thinks
Like,
he's way up here. The rest of the NBA thinks he's down here.
Like, and so with that, like, I don't know what's going on. And Cam's great. I just don't know if he's exactly what he thinks he is. Maybe he could turn into that. But if I'm Brooklyn, I'm kind of like, but also on both ends of that, Brooklyn's like lowballing. Like, so I don't know as well. Like,
Cam thinks he's like a $30+ million player, maybe 40 million. And Brooklyn's like, hey, here's the mid-level exception.
Yeah, here's 14
Take
million.
it or leave it.
That number wouldn't be bad 5-6 years ago, but today it's like, for a young guy too, that's hard, man. So yeah, there's some really interesting situations. I mean, all these should be resolved this month, of course, as we head into
they have to be. So. Yeah, one way or another, they got to be. But everybody, give us your thoughts in the comments down below. I know we're all hoping this Jonathan Kuminga situation just comes to a head and gets finished one way or another. But again, this latest report that the Warriors are really dead set on that team option and waiving that no trade, that could definitely push us towards a qualifying offer for Kuminga and Golden State potentially losing him for nothing. Give us your thoughts, though, in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.